At the restaurant, my son went to the bathroom. Then the waiter told me, "He put something in your juice." The waiter's hand trembled slightly as he cleared the appetizer plates. And then he leaned down close enough that I could smell the mint gum on his breath. "Sir, please don't drink that juice," he whispered urgently. "Your son put something in it when he came back from the bathroom. I saw him from the kitchen doorway." I looked down at the glass of orange juice sitting innocently in front of me, condensation beating on its sides. My hand had been reaching for it when the waiter spoke. I froze, my fingers suspended in midair. "What did you say?" I asked, my voice coming out hoarse. The young man straightened up, his professional smile fixed in place, but his eyes were serious. "I saw him drop something into your glass, sir. Small white pills. He crushed them first, between his fingers." "I'm certain of what I saw," Jason's voice called out from across the restaurant. "Be right back, Dad. Just washing my hands." I watched my son walk toward our table at the back of Rosie's Diner, a casual family restaurant we'd been coming to for Sunday lunch for the past 3 years. Jason was smiling, that easy grin that had charmed teachers, girlfriends, employers, and me for 45 years. He looked relaxed in his polo shirt and khakis, like a man without a care in the world, like a man who hadn't just poisoned his father's drink. "Are you absolutely sure?" I asked the waiter, keeping my voice low. "Yes, sir, I'm positive." I was about to bring bread to table 9, and I had a clear view. He looked around first to make sure no one was watching, but he didn't see me in the doorway. He took something from his pocket, crushed it, and dropped it in your juice. Then he stirred it with his finger. My chest tightened. This couldn't be real. This had to be some terrible mistake. "Everything okay here, gentlemen?" Jason slid back into his seat across from me, still smiling. "Travis, could we get some more water when you get a chance?" The waiter, Travis, apparently nodded stiffly. "Of course, sir. Right away." As Travis walked away, Jason gestured at my untouched juice. "You haven't drunk any of that yet? It's fresh squeezed. You always get the orange juice here." I looked at my son, really looked at him. The same blue eyes I saw in my own mirror every morning, inherited from my father before me. The strong jaw, the athletic build he'd maintained despite his desk job. My boy, my only son. "I'm not very thirsty," I heard myself say. Jason's smile didn't waver, but something flickered in his eyes. "You feeling okay, Dad? You look pale. Just tired. Long week. Well, drink something. You need to stay hydrated at your age." At my age? I was 72 years old, and my son was telling me to stay hydrated while sitting across from a glass of juice he'd just poisoned. Let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here, to this booth in a family diner on a Sunday afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona, with my son trying to kill me. My name is Robert James Mitchell. I'm 72, a widower of 5 years, and until approximately 2 minutes ago, I thought I understood my life. I spent 30 years in commercial real estate development, built a successful company from the ground up, and sold it 10 years ago for enough money to retire very comfortably. My wife Helen and I raised 2 children in Scottsdale, Jason. Our oldest and his sister Monica, who died in a car accident when she was 23. Losing Monica broke something in Helen. She was never quite the same after that, and when the cancer came 6 years later, part of me wondered if she just stopped fighting. She died quietly in our home with Jason and me by her bedside. That left Jason and me, my only living child. The son I'd coached in Little League, taught to drive, put through Arizona State University, and bailed out more times than I cared to count. Jason had always been struggling, I suppose, is the kind word for it. He was smart, charming, good with people, but he couldn't seem to hold a job for more than a year or two. There was always some reason, difficult boss, company politics, a better opportunity elsewhere. After college, he'd bounce from sales position to sales position, burning through opportunities faster than I could help him find new ones. He married young, at 26, to a woman named Kristen who seemed steady and sensible. I'd hoped she'd be a stabilizing influence. They had a daughter, my granddaughter Lily, now 18 and away at college. But the marriage ended in divorce after 12 years, and Jason's instability only seemed to worsen after that. Still, He was my son. I helped him. Of course I helped him. When he got behind on child support, I covered it. When he lost his job again and couldn't make rent, I paid it. When his car broke down, I bought him a new one. What else was a father supposed to do? But there had been signs. Looking back now, with the horror of understanding crystallizing in my mind, I could see them clearly. 6 months ago, Jason had started asking about my estate planning. Not subtly directly, insistently. Dad, you need to make sure everything's in order. At your age, you never know. Have you updated your will recently? I told him my affairs were perfectly organized, which was true. Everything was with my attorney, Harold Brenner, who I'd known for 30 years. Jason was my sole heir. Everything would go to him and, by extension, to Lily. But that didn't seem to satisfy him. He kept pushing. What about a living will? Power of attorney? Dad, if something happens to you, I need to be able to handle things. You know, medical decisions, financial matters. I'd resisted. Not out of suspicion, I just valued my independence. I was in good health for a man my age. My mind was sharp. I didn't need someone else making decisions for me. Then came the incidents. 3 months ago, I'd had a bad fall. I'd been at Jason's apartment helping him move some furniture. He'd just moved again. Closer to me this time, which I thought was sweet, when I suddenly felt dizzy and lost my balance. I'd tumbled down 5 stairs and broken my wrist. The emergency room doctor had been puzzled. Mr. Mitchell, your blood pressure was extremely low when you came in. Are you taking any medications that might cause that? I wasn't. I took a statin for cholesterol, nothing else. The dizziness had been sudden and unexplained. 2 weeks after that, I'd had severe stomach problems after Jason had cooked dinner for me at my house. I'd been sick for 2 days, barely able to keep anything down. Jason had been very concerned, very attentive, insisting I see my doctor. Dr. Shaw had diagnosed it as food poisoning, but couldn't identify the source. And just last month, I'd felt strange after drinking coffee at Jason's place. My heart had been racing. I'd felt confused and disoriented. And I'd had to lie down on his couch for 2 hours before I felt stable enough to drive home. Jason had wanted to call an ambulance, but I'd insisted I was fine. Each time, Jason had been there, concerned, helpful, taking care of dear old Dad. Each time I'd brushed it off. These things happen when you get older, right? Your body becomes unpredictable. You have to be more careful. But sitting here now, staring at that glass of poisoned orange juice, all those incidents were rearranging themselves in my mind like dominoes falling backward, revealing a pattern I'd refused to see. My son had been trying to kill me. Not just today. This had been going on for months. Dad, you're really out of it today. Jason was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Concern? Calculation? How had I never noticed that his eyes could look so cold? I'm fine, I said. Just thinking. About what? Your mother. I was thinking about Helen. She'd have loved this place. It wasn't true Helen had actually found Rosie's Diner too greasy, but it was the first thing that came to mind, and it had the desired effect. Jason's expression softened into something that looked like genuine emotion. Yeah, she would have. I miss her, Dad. I know you do, son. Did he? Did he miss her? Or was he just counting down the days until he inherited everything, until the old man was finally out of the way and he could cash in? Travis returned with water and a basket of bread. As he set them down, his eyes met mine again, a question in them. What was I going to do? I didn't know. I genuinely didn't know. So, Dad, I wanted to talk to you about something. Jason took a piece of bread and buttered it casually. I've got this new business opportunity. Real estate investment, actually. Right up your alley. There's this guy I know, Marcus Chun. He's putting together a syndication deal for a commercial property in Tempe. It's a solid opportunity, but I need about $50,000 to get in on the ground floor. Here it was. The ask. There was always an ask. $50,000. I kept my voice neutral. I know it sounds like a lot, but Dad, this is different. This is legitimate. Marcus is connected. This could really turn things around for me. I could finally get ahead instead of just treading water. I'd heard variations of this pitch a dozen times over the years. The sure thing. The solid opportunity. The deal that would finally make everything click into place. When do you need an answer? Well, The deal closes in 2 weeks, so pretty soon. Jason leaned forward, his voice taking on an urgent quality. Dad, I really think this could be it. The chance I've been waiting for. And with you having all that money just sitting there, just sitting there. As if my retirement savings, the money I'd worked for 3 decades to build, was just lying around waiting for Jason to come claim it. I'll think about it, I said. Jason's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. You always say that, because I always need to think about these things. Jason, $50,000 isn't pocket change, but you have millions, Dad. Millions. What are you saving it all for? You can't take it with you. The ugly truth beneath the charming smile was showing now. He wanted my money. He wanted it now, and apparently he was tired of waiting for me to die naturally. Our meals arrived: a patty melt for Jason, a Reuben sandwich for me. I normally loved Rosie's Reubens, but my appetite had vanished. I picked up my food while Jason ate with gusto, occasionally glancing at my untouched juice glass. You really should drink something, Dad. At least some water. I will in a minute. I watched him, this stranger wearing my son's face. When had he changed? Or had he always been this person, and I'd been too blind to see it? Had I created this by helping him too much? By bailing him out every time he failed? Had I somehow taught him that he was entitled to my money, that it would always be there for him? Or was this something else entirely? Was Jason desperate? In trouble? Was someone pressuring him? The question spiraled, but one fact remained clear. My son had tried to poison me, was trying to poison me right now, with that orange juice sitting 6 inches from my hand. I needed to leave. I needed to get somewhere safe and figure out what to do. Jason, I'm not feeling well. It wasn't a lie. My stomach was churning with nausea and fear. I think I need to head home. Concern flickered across his face again, but this time I could see the performance of it. Oh no. Do you need me to drive you? The thought of being alone in a car with Jason, of what might happen during that drive, sent ice through my veins. No. I drove myself. I'll be fine. Dad, you don't look fine. Let me at least follow you home. Make sure you get there okay. Jason, I said no. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Jason sat back, his expression hardening. Fine. Whatever you want, Dad. You're so stubborn. I signaled for Travis, who hurried over. Can I get the check, please? Of course, sir. Right away. As Travis walked away, Jason leaned forward. Dad? Are you mad at me? About asking for the money? I'm sorry if that upset you. I didn't mean. I'm not mad. I just don't feel well. Is it your heart? Should I call 911? It's not my heart. I'm just tired. The check arrived and I pulled out my credit card, my hand steadier than I felt. As Travis processed the payment, Jason sat in silence, watching me with an expression I couldn't decipher. In the parking lot, the Arizona sun was brutal, the October heat still pushing 90 degrees. Jason walked me to my car, his hand on my elbow as if I were fragile. You sure you're okay to drive? I'm fine. Call me when you get home, okay? Just so I know you made it safe. I looked at my son, this man who'd apparently been trying to kill me for months, and I felt something inside me crack. This was Jason, my boy. The kid who'd cried when his goldfish died, who'd brought me breakfast in bed every Father's Day, who'd held my hand at his mother's funeral. Where had that person gone? I'll call you, I said, the lie coming easily. I got in my car and drove away, watching Jason in my rearview mirror until he was just a speck in the distance. Only when I was several blocks away, certain he hadn't followed me, did I pull over into a shopping center parking lot. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My breathing came in short, sharp gasps. For a moment, I thought I might be having a heart attack, the real thing, not the fake emergency Jason had suggested. But no, this was panic, pure, primal terror. I sat there for 15 minutes, trying to calm down, trying to think clearly. Then I did what I should have done in the restaurant. I called 911. The dispatcher was calm and professional, walking me through what to do. Stay in a public place. Don't go home yet. Officers would meet me at the shopping center within 15 minutes. They arrived in 12. Officer Davis was in his early 40s, built like someone who took the physical requirements of his job seriously. His partner, Officer Reyes, was younger, maybe 30, with sharp, assessing eyes that took in my shaking hands and pale face immediately. We sat in my car with the doors open, the air conditioning blasting, while I told them what had happened. Every word felt surreal coming out of my mouth. My son poisoned my drink. My son has been trying to hurt me for months. My son wants me dead. Mr. Mitchell, Officer Davis said when I'd finished, do you still have any of the juice? Did you bring the glass with you? My heart sank. No, I left it at the restaurant. I needed to get away. That's understandable. But without the drink itself, we don't have physical evidence of tampering. He pulled out a notepad. However, you said a waiter witnessed it. That's important. We'll need to go back to the restaurant and get his statement. And we'll need to secure that glass if it's still there, Officer Reyes added. If there are drugs in it, we can test them. Find out what your son was trying to give you. The thought of going back to Rosie's, to the scene of the crime, made my stomach clench. But I nodded. Okay. Let's go. Officer Davis drove me back in his patrol car while Officer Reyes followed in hers. The restaurant was only 10 minutes away, but it felt like an eternity. My mind kept replaying the moment when Travis leaned down and whispered that warning. If he hadn't been paying attention, if he hadn't spoken up, I would have drunk that juice. And then what? What had Jason's plan been? For me to collapse at the table, to make it home and die in my sleep, to crash my car on the way back? The questions made me feel physically ill. At Rosie's, the lunch rush was winding down. The hostess looked surprised when 2 police officers walked in with me. But Officer Davis explained the situation quietly. Within minutes, the manager appeared, a woman in her 50s named Carol, who I'd seen many times but never really talked to. Mr. Mitchell, oh my God. Travis told me something happened. Are you okay? I need to speak to Travis, I said. And we need the glass. The orange juice glass from my table. Is it still there? I don't know. Let me check. Carol hurried toward the back, her face pale. Travis appeared moments later, his young face tight with anxiety. Sir, I'm so glad you're okay. I wasn't sure if you believed me. I almost didn't say anything because, accusing someone's son of... He stopped, looking at the officers. Is this really happening? Did I really see what I thought I saw? That's what we're trying to determine, Officer Davis said. Can you tell us exactly what you witnessed? Travis described it, his words matching what he'd told me. He'd been standing in the kitchen doorway with a bread basket. He'd had a clear view of our table. He'd seen Jason take something from his pocket, crush it between his fingers, drop it into my juice, and stir it with his finger. Did you see what the substance looked like? Officer Reyes asked. Small white pills, round. He crushed at least 2, maybe 3. Carol returned, carefully carrying a glass wrapped in a plastic bag. I found it. No one had cleared your table yet. I bagged it just like you see on TV. Officer Reyes took the glass, examining it carefully. The orange juice was still there, about 3/4 full, with a faint residue of white powder visible on the surface if you looked closely. We'll need to take this to the lab, she said. Mr. Mitchell, once we know what's in here, we'll have a much better idea of what we're dealing with. How long will that take? Rush job? 2 days, maybe 3. 2 days. 2 days of not knowing exactly what Jason had tried to do to me. 2 days of looking over my shoulder, wondering if he'd try again. Officer Davis took statements from Travis and Carol, from me again with more details this time, and from another server who'd seen Jason return from the bathroom but hadn't witnessed the actual tampering. They took photos of the table, the glass, everything. Finally, nearly 2 hours after we'd arrived, Officer Davis turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, is there somewhere safe you can stay for the next few days? Do you have family or friends who can put you up? I have friends, yes, but I hesitated. What about Jason? Are you going to question him? The officers exchanged glances. Not yet, Officer Reyes said. Right now, all we have is witness testimony and a glass that may or may not contain drugs. If we confront your son now, before we have all the evidence, it could compromise the case. He could destroy evidence, come up with an alternative explanation, lawyer up immediately. So what do? You stay away from him. Don't be alone with him under any circumstances. If he calls, you can talk to him, but keep it brief and don't let on that you know anything. We'll fast-track the toxicology report. Once we know what's in that glass, we'll have grounds to bring him in for questioning." Officer Davis's expression was sympathetic but firm. "I know this is difficult, Mr. Mitchell, but we need to build a solid case. The better our evidence, the better chance we have of making charges stick." I ended up calling my friend Walter, someone I'd known since college. He and his wife Susan lived in Mesa, about 30 minutes away. When I called and told him I needed a place to stay for a few days' family emergency, I couldn't explain, yet he didn't hesitate. "Come on over, Bob. You can stay as long as you need." That night, lying in Walter and Susan's guest room, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jason's face across that table, that easy smile that hid God knew what dark calculations. I kept thinking about all the times I'd helped him, all the money I'd given him over the years. At around 2 in the morning, I did something I'd been avoiding. I got out my phone and started searching. Jason Mitchell and Phoenix brought up his LinkedIn profile, his Facebook, normal things. But then I tried different combinations. Jason Mitchell and arrest. Jason Mitchell and debt. Nothing came up directly about him, but I found his ex-wife Kristen's Facebook page. It was mostly locked down, but her profile picture showed her with a new husband and a baby. Her last public post from 3 years ago said, "Sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. Choosing peace over chaos. Choosing truth over lies." What had Jason done to her? What hadn't he told me about why their marriage really ended? I thought about my granddaughter, Lily. She was at University of Arizona in Tucson studying psychology. She'd been distant the last year or so, calling less, visiting even less. I'd assumed it was normal college kid busyness. Now I wondered if Jason had done something to damage that relationship too. At 6 in the morning, unable to wait any longer, I called her. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice groggy. "Grandpa, it's really early. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry, but I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Has your father asked you for money recently?" Silence. Then, "Grandpa, I don't want to get in the middle of anything. Lily, please, this is important." She sighed, and I could hear her moving, probably sitting up in bed. "He's been asking me for money for about a year. Every few weeks, it's something new. He needs help with rent or his car payment, or he has this great investment opportunity. At first I helped him because he's my dad, you know, but it got to be too much. I'm on student loans, Grandpa. I barely have enough for my own expenses. Last time he asked, I said no, and her voice cracked. He got really angry, said I was selfish. Said I didn't understand what he was going through. We haven't really talked since." My chest ached. "Lily, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't want to tell you because I know you help him a lot, and I didn't want you to think less of him. He's my dad. But Grandpa, sometimes I wonder if he's sick or something. The way he acts, the things he says when he doesn't get what he wants. It's not normal. How much has he asked you for in total?" Another pause. "Maybe $5,000 or $6,000 over the past year. All of it was supposed to be loans, but he's never paid back a cent. $5,000 or $6,000 from his college student daughter. $40,000 or $50,000 he'd wanted from me just today." How much debt was Jason in? What kind of trouble was he facing? After I hung up with Lily, I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. I needed to understand what was happening with my son. I needed to know what had driven him to this. At 9 o'clock, I called Harold Brenner, my attorney. Harold had been my lawyer for 3 decades. He'd handled the sale of my business, managed my estate planning, been present for Helen's will reading. He was in his late 60s now, thinking about retirement, but his mind was still sharp as ever. "Bob, good to hear from you. What's going on?" I told him everything. The juice, the previous incidents, the police involvement. When I finished, Harold was silent for a long moment. "Bob, this is serious. Very serious. I think we need to take some immediate protective measures." "Like what?" "First, I want to review your will and all your estate documents. If Jason is trying to harm you for inheritance, we need to understand exactly what he stands to gain. Second, I'm going to recommend you put all your accounts on fraud alert. Third, We should consider getting you a restraining order once the police have enough evidence. What about changing my will? Cutting him out? Harold's voice was careful. That's your right, of course. But Bob, if you do that now, before any charges are filed, it could look like retaliation. It might actually help his defense if this goes to court. Let's wait until we have a clearer picture of what's happening. Over the next 2 days, I lived in a strange state of suspension. I stayed with Walter and Susan, making excuses to Jason when he called, which he did 4 times. Each conversation was brief, Jason asking how I was feeling, if I'd thought about his investment opportunity when we could get together again. I played along, my voice steady even as my hand shook. Still not feeling great, son. Give me a few days. You sure you don't want me to come check on you, Dad? I'm worried. No, I'm fine. Just need rest. On the 3rd day, Officer Davis called. Mr. Mitchell, we got the toxicology report back. You need to come down to the station. At the Phoenix Police Department, they led me to a small conference room. Officer Davis and Officer Rios were there, along with a detective I hadn't met before, Detective Sarah Chun, Crimes Against Persons Unit. Detective Chun was in her 40s, with black hair pulled back in a tight ponytail and eyes that had seen too much. She gestured for me to sit. Mr. Mitchell, the substance in your orange juice was lorazepam. Do you know what that is? I shook my head. It's a benzodiazepine sold under the brand name Ativan. It's used to treat anxiety and sleep disorders. In normal doses, it's relatively safe. But Mr. Mitchell, your juice contained the equivalent of 40 milligrams crushed into the liquid. Is that a lot? A standard dose is 1 to 2 milligrams. 40 milligrams, especially for someone your age, combined with the sedative effects of being dissolved in liquid that you drink quickly, could have caused severe respiratory depression, loss of consciousness, and potentially death. She paused, letting that sink in. If you had drunk that juice, there's a very real possibility you wouldn't have woken up. The room seemed to tilt. I gripped the edge of the table. There's more, Detective Chun continued. She opened a folder and pulled out photos. We executed a search warrant on your son's apartment this morning. These are what we found. The photos showed pill bottles. Lots of them. Lorazepam, yes, but also others. Zolpidem, diazepam, medications I didn't recognize. Where did he get all these? I asked. Some appear to be legitimately prescribed to him. He has a history of anxiety treatment. Others have labels that have been peeled off or altered. We're working with the DI to determine if any were obtained illegally. But Mr. Mitchell, we also found something else. She laid down another photo. It was a printout of a document. I leaned closer and felt my blood run cold. It was a life insurance policy. On me. For $2 million, with Jason listed as the sole beneficiary. I never signed this, I whispered. We know. We've already been in contact with the insurance company. The signature is forged. The medical examination that was supposedly conducted on you never happened. Your son has been paying premiums on a fraudulent policy for 18 months. 18 months. Jason had been planning this for 18 months. There's more. Detective Chun pulled out printed screenshots. We recovered his computer and phone. Mr. Mitchell, your son has been researching ways to kill you for over a year. She showed me search histories that made my stomach turn. Undetectable poisons elderly. To make death look natural, benzodiazepine overdose symptoms. Average time for a state probate. Arizona. How to get power of attorney elderly parent. What drugs cause heart attacks. He also had files. Detective Chun said quietly. Plans. Scenarios. He'd written out different methods. He was keeping notes on your health, your routines, when you were alone. I couldn't speak, couldn't process what I was hearing. Mr. Mitchell, your son wasn't just trying to kill you on impulse. This was premeditated, calculated murder. And based on what we found, the juice at the restaurant wasn't his first attempt. The fall, I said hoarsely, 3 months ago. The food poisoning. The episode with the coffee. We're investigating all of it. We've subpoenaed your medical records. We're talking to your doctors. We're building a timeline. She leaned forward. Mr. Mitchell, We have enough evidence to arrest your son. We're doing it today. I wanted you to hear it from us first." I sat there numb as Detective Chen explained the charges. Attempted murder, fraud, forgery, possibly multiple counts depending on what else they uncovered. He'll be arraigned tomorrow. There will be a bail hearing. The DA will argue he's a danger to you and should be held without bail. What do I do? My voice sounded small, broken. You stay safe. You let us do our job. And Mr. Mitchell, Detective Chun's voice softened just slightly. I'm sorry. I know this is your son, but he tried to kill you multiple times. You need to accept that because he will likely try again if given any opportunity. When I left the police station, the Phoenix sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and red that reminded me of the juice I hadn't drunk. Walter was waiting in the parking lot to drive me back to his house. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. "Dad, call me when you can. Need to talk to you about something important. Love you." I stared at those last two words. Love you. Did he? Had he ever? Or had I always just been a means to an end? A bank account that happened to have a heartbeat attached? The phone buzzed again. This time it was Detective Chun. "We have him. Jason Mitchell in custody as of 6:47 p.m. You're safe." But I didn't feel safe. I felt like my entire life had been a lie. Like everything I'd believed about my son had been carefully constructed fiction, and I didn't know how to live with that truth. The arraignment was the next morning. I didn't attend. Detective Chun advised against it, but Harold went on my behalf and called me afterward. "Bob," he pled not guilty. No surprise there. "The bail hearing is this afternoon at 2. The DA wants you to testify." My stomach clenched. "I have to see him? You don't have to do anything." "But Bob, your testimony could make the difference between Jason being held without bail or being released with an ankle monitor. The judge needs to understand that you're in danger." So at 1:30, I found myself walking back into the Maricopa County Superior Court, this time with Harold on one side and Detective Chun on the other. The courthouse was busy, full of lawyers in suits and families waiting anxiously on benches. I wondered how many of them were here for betrayals like mine. The courtroom was modern, all light wood and muted colors. Nothing like the dramatic courtrooms you see on TV. I took a seat behind the prosecutor's table. Assistant District Attorney Michael Torres, a man in his early 40s with salt and pepper hair and a reputation for being thorough. Then they brought Jason in. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. His hair was uncombed and he had dark circles under his eyes. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. When he saw me, his whole face changed, crumpling into something that looked like genuine anguish. "Dad," he said, loud enough for the whole courtroom to hear. "Dad, please. This is all a mistake. You have to believe me." His attorney, a public defender named Marcus Shaw, put a hand on his shoulder. "Mr. Mitchell, don't say anything." But Jason kept looking at me, his eyes pleading. "I would never hurt you. You're my father. I love you. Someone must have put those pills in your drink. Maybe it was that waiter, trying to set me up. Dad, please." I looked away. I couldn't bear to see him like this, to hear the desperation in his voice, because part of me, the father part that had raised this man, that had loved him unconditionally for 45 years, wanted to believe him, wanted to think there was some explanation, some alternative truth that would make sense of this nightmare. But I'd seen the evidence, the search histories, the forged insurance policy, the pills in his apartment, the calculations, the plans, the cold-blooded premeditation of it all. Judge Richard Hernandez entered, and we all rose. He was in his 60s, with silver hair and a stern expression that suggested he'd seen every lie the justice system had to offer. "This is a bail hearing for Jason Mitchell, charged with attempted murder, insurance fraud, and forgery. Mr. Torres, you may proceed." Ada Torres stood. "Your Honor, the state requests that the defendant be held without bail. This is not simply a case of attempted harm. This is calculated, premeditated attempted murder of the defendant's own elderly father. The evidence shows over 18 months of planning, multiple prior attempts, and a fraudulent insurance policy worth $2 million. He laid out the case methodically, the toxicology report, the search histories, the forged documents, the witness testimony. When he was done, Judge Hernandez looked troubled. Marcus Shaw, the public defender, stood for his turn. Your Honor, my client has no prior criminal record. He's a lifelong Arizona resident with a daughter attending university here. He poses no flight risk. The evidence is largely circumstantial, Counselor. Judge Hernandez interrupted. There was 40 milligrams of lorazepam in the victim's drink, witnessed by a restaurant employee. That's not circumstantial. The witness saw my client touching the glass. Yes, but there's no direct evidence that he put the pills there. It's possible someone else. Your Honor, Ada Torres interjected. The defendant had bottles of the exact medication in his apartment. His fingerprints are on the bottles. His computer contains detailed plans for murdering his father. This isn't circumstantial. This is overwhelming evidence of guilt. Judge Hernandez turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, I'd like to hear from you. Please approach the stand. I walked forward on legs that felt like they might give out. After I was sworn in, Ada Torres approached with a gentleness that made my throat tight. Mr. Mitchell, do you believe your son attempted to kill you? I looked at Jason. He was staring at me with an expression I couldn't read: fear, anger, pleading, all mixed together. Yes, I said quietly. I do. Can you tell the court why? Because I've seen the evidence. Because when I look back at the past few months, the fall, the food poisoning, the dizzy spell, I can see now that they were all attempts. Because my son has been pressuring me for money, and when I didn't give it to him fast enough, he decided to just take everything. Are you afraid of your son? The question hung in the air. Was I afraid? Yes. But more than that, I was heartbroken, devastated, destroyed by the reality that the person I'd loved most in the world had been willing to watch me die. Yes, I said. I'm afraid that if he's released, he'll try again. I'm afraid that this time, I won't be lucky enough to have a waiter who's paying attention. Jason made a noise, half sob, half protest. Dad, no, please. I wouldn't. Mr. Mitchell, Marcus Shaw interrupted, standing for cross-examination. You've given your son significant amounts of money over the years, haven't you? Yes. Hundreds of thousands of dollars? Over the course of his life? Yes. And he's your only living child, correct? Your sole heir? Yes. So isn't it possible that the insurance policy, while irregular in its filing, was simply your son's attempt to ensure he'd be taken care of if something happened to you? That it wasn't malicious? Just misguided? I stared at the public defender. He forged my signature. He researched ways to kill me. He put enough drugs in my drink to stop my breathing. That's not misguided. That's attempted murder. Marcus Shaw had no response to that. After a moment, he sat down. Judge Hernandez took less than 10 minutes to decide. Given the evidence of premeditation, the multiple alleged prior attempts, and the defendant's apparent financial motive, I find that he poses a clear danger to the victim. Bail is denied. Mr. Mitchell will be held without bail pending trial. The gavel came down. Jason's head dropped, and I heard him make a sound like a wounded animal. 2 deputies moved to escort him out, but he twisted around to look at me one more time. Dad, please, don't let them do this to me. I'm your son. Your only son. Mom would want you to help me. She'd want you to believe in me. Invoking Helen using my dead wife to manipulate me was the final straw. Whatever small part of me had still been hoping for some reasonable explanation died in that moment. Your mother would be ashamed of you, I said, my voice carrying across the courtroom. And so am I. They led him away, still calling for me, still protesting his innocence. I sat there until the courtroom cleared, until it was just me and Harold and the echo of my son's voice. Come on, Bob, Harold said gently. Let's get you out of here. Over the next few weeks, Detective Chen and her team continued to build their case, and the more they uncovered, the worse it got. Jason's financial situation was catastrophic. He owed over $300,000. The bulk of it was gambling, debt, sports betting, online poker, casino losses. He'd been hiding it from everyone, juggling credit cards, taking out loans, borrowing from loan sharks. One of those loan sharks, it turned out, had been threatening him. Messages on Jason's phone showed escalating demands. Pay up or else. You have until the end of the month. We know where your daughter goes to school. They were threatening. Lily and Jason, instead of coming to me for help, had decided the solution was to kill me and collect the insurance money. Detective Chun showed me more evidence they'd recovered. Jason had spreadsheets calculating my net worth. He'd researched how quickly estates typically went through probate. He'd even looked up funeral costs, apparently trying to factor in every expense. Mr. Mitchell, we've also identified the earlier attempts more clearly, Detective Chen said during one of our meetings. The fall you had 3 months ago? We found beta blockers in his apartment medication that lowers blood pressure. We believe he put them in something you drank at his place that day. That's why you felt dizzy. The food poisoning? Ipecac syrup. It induces vomiting. We found an empty bottle in his trash from around that time. That wasn't meant to kill you. We think that was a test run, seeing if he could dose you without you suspecting. And a coffee incident? High doses of caffeine pills mixed with ephedrine. It's what caused your heart to race and the confusion. That one could have killed you if you'd had an underlying heart condition. I listened to all of this in a daze. My son had been systematically poisoning me, testing different methods, refining his approach. I'd been a science experiment to him. There's one more thing, Detective Chen said hesitantly. We found a burner phone in Jason's apartment. He'd been in contact with someone. We're still trying to identify them about forging documents. Text messages suggest he was also exploring the possibility of having you declared incompetent so he could get guardianship. Incompetent? If he could convince a court you were suffering from dementia or mental decline, he could be appointed your guardian. Then he'd control all your assets legally. We think the poisoning attempts were a backup plan when the incompetency route wasn't moving fast enough. The trial was set for 3 months out, but it never got that far. 6 weeks after his arrest, Marcus Shaw approached Ada Torres with a plea deal. Harold called to tell me, Bob, Jason wants to plead guilty to attempted murder and fraud. In exchange, the DA is offering 20 to 30 years with eligibility for parole after 15. What does that mean for me? Do I have to testify? No. With a guilty plea, there's no trial. There will be a sentencing hearing where you can give a victim impact statement, but that's optional. I thought about facing Jason again, about saying everything I needed to say. I'll do it. I'll give the statement. Bob, are you sure? You don't have to. I need to. For me, I need him to hear it. In the meantime, I'd been trying to rebuild my life. I'd moved back into my own house, though I'd had the locks changed and a new security system installed. Walter and Susan checked on me regularly. Lily had come home for a weekend, and we'd really talked for the first time in months. Grandpa, I'm so sorry, she'd said, crying in my kitchen. I should have told you what he was doing, the way he was acting. I thought about it so many times, but he's my dad. And I didn't want to believe. You have nothing to apologize for, sweetheart. You couldn't have known how far he'd go. Do you think he's sick? Like mentally ill? I've thought about that a lot. I don't know. The psychologist who evaluated him for the court said he has antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic traits. He doesn't feel empathy the way most people do. But Lily, I don't know if that's an explanation or just a label for someone who makes terrible choices. She'd asked the question I'd been avoiding. Are you going to forgive him? I don't know, I'd admitted. Part of me wants to. He's my son. But he tried to kill me, Lily, multiple times. He was willing to let me die so he could pay off gambling debts. How do you forgive that? I don't know either, she'd whispered. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for early December. The night before, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote my victim impact statement. I wrote it and rewrote it, trying to find words adequate for what Jason had done to me, to our family, to the memory of Helen. In the end, I kept it simple and true. The courtroom was packed when I arrived. Ada Torres met me at the door, giving my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. You ready for this? As ready as I'll ever be. Jason was already at the defense table when I walked in. He'd lost weight in jail, his face gaunt and pale. When he saw me, something flickered in his eyes. Hope? Regret? I couldn't tell anymore. I didn't know this person. Judge Hernandez entered, and the proceedings began. Marcus Shaw made a statement about Jason's remorse, his difficult childhood, which was news to me, and his struggles with addiction. Ada Torres countered with the facts, the planning, the attempts, the complete disregard for his father's life. Then it was my turn. I walked to the podium with my statement, but when I got there, I set the paper aside. I needed to say this without reading it, needed Jason to see my face and hear my voice. Jason, I began, looking directly at him. I loved you from the moment you were born. When your mother and I brought you home from the hospital, I held you and promised I would always protect you, always be there for you. I kept that promise for 45 years. I gave you everything I could: love, support, money, second chances, third chances. I never gave up on you, even when maybe I should have. Jason's jaw clenched, but he didn't look away. And you repaid that love by trying to murder me. Not once, but multiple times over several months. You researched how to kill me. You put drugs in my drinks. You forged insurance documents. You calculated my net worth like I was a stock you were planning to cash in. I wasn't your father to you anymore. I was an obstacle between you and money you wanted. My voice cracked, but I pushed through. You've destroyed our family. Your daughter is traumatized. Your mother's memory has been tainted by what you've done. And me, I'll never feel safe again. Every drink I pour, every meal I make, I'll wonder if someone's tampered with it. You took away my sense of security in the world. You took away my ability to trust. You took away my son, because the person sitting at that table isn't the boy I raised. I don't know who you are anymore. A tear rolled down Jason's cheek, but I didn't stop. Your Honor, I ask that you impose the maximum sentence, not because I want revenge, but because I believe Jason is a danger. He showed no remorse until he got caught. Even now, I don't know if he's sorry for what he did or just sorry he got caught. And I can't spend what's left of my life, however many years I have left, that he didn't take from me, looking over my shoulder, waiting for him to get out and try again. I looked at Jason one last time. You were my son, and I loved you, but you tried to kill me, and I can never forgive that. Judge Hernandez let the silence hang for a moment before speaking. Mr. Mitchell, you may be seated. He looked at Jason. Does the defendant wish to make a statement before sentencing? Jason stood slowly. His lawyer whispered something to him, probably advising him to keep it brief, but Jason ignored him. Dad, he said, his voice breaking, I'm so sorry. I know that's not enough. I know nothing I say can fix what I did. I was desperate. The people I owed money to were threatening Lily. I thought if I could just get enough money, I could make it all go away. I wasn't thinking straight. I was panicking. You had 18 months to come to me for help, I said, even though I wasn't supposed to speak. 18 months of planning my murder. That's not panic. That's premeditation. Jason's face crumpled. I know. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. Judge Hernandez's expression was granite. Mr. Mitchell, I've been a judge for 20 years. I've seen a lot of terrible things, but the betrayal of a parent's trust, the willingness to murder the person who gave you life and supported you for decades, is among the worst. The psychologist's evaluation indicates you are capable of understanding right from wrong, which means you made a choice. You chose money over your father's life. You chose selfishness over family. He looked down at his paperwork. On the charge of attempted murder in the first degree, I sentence you to 30 years. On the fraud charges, 10 years to run concurrently. With good behavior, you'll be eligible for parole in 20 years. When you're 65 years old, if your father is still alive, maybe then you'll understand what you tried to take from him. The gavel struck. Jason didn't make a sound this time. He just sat there, staring at the table, as the deputies came to take him away. As they let him out, he looked back at me one more time. Not pleading now, not desperate, just ... empty. And I felt nothing. No relief, no satisfaction. Just a deep, aching emptiness where my son used to be. I called 911. That was 8 months ago. I'm sitting on my back patio now, watching the Arizona sun set over the Sonoran Desert, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It's late May, and the heat is just starting to become oppressive. The kind of heat that makes you remember why people call Phoenix the Valley of the Sun. But right now, in this moment, it's perfect. Lily is in the kitchen making dinner. She moved in with me 3 months ago, transferring to Arizona State for her final year of college. She said it was about being closer to campus, about saving money on housing. But we both know the real reason she wanted to make sure I was okay. She wanted to help me heal, and maybe she needed to heal too. Grandpa, how do you want your steak? She calls through the open sliding door. Medium rare, sweetheart. That's what I thought, but I wanted to check. You've been ordering things differently lately. She's right. I have been. Small changes, but changes nonetheless. Different restaurants, different routines, different paths through the grocery store. I'm not the same man I was 8 months ago, and I'm learning to be okay with that. The first few months after the sentencing were the hardest. I barely left the house except for necessities. Walter and Susan visited almost daily, bringing food I barely touched, sitting with me through the long silences. My therapist. Yes, I started seeing a therapist, something I never thought I'd do at 72, said I was experiencing a kind of grief. Not the grief of death, but the grief of betrayal. The loss of the person I thought my son was. It's actually harder in some ways, Dr. Patricia Okoye had explained in one of our early sessions. When someone dies, you can remember them as they were. But when someone betrays you like this, it taints every memory. You question everything that came before. She was right. I'd spent weeks going through old photo albums, staring at pictures of Jason as a boy, as a teenager, as a young man, trying to pinpoint when he'd changed. When the sweet kid who'd brought me Father's Day cards became someone capable of calculated murder. But Dr. Okoye had helped me understand something important. Maybe Jason had always had these tendencies, these dark corners in his personality. Maybe the gambling, the debt, the desperation had just revealed what was already there. Or maybe people are more complicated than we want to believe, capable of both love and terrible cruelty, sometimes toward the same people. I've learned to live with not knowing. It's not comfortable, but it's reality. Lily brings out 2 plates, perfectly grilled steaks with roasted vegetables. She's become an excellent cook, something that surprised both of us. We eat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sky darken, the first stars appearing. I got a letter from him today, Lily says finally. I know who him is without asking. Jason writes to her regularly from prison. He's written to me 217 letters in 8 months. I've read them all, though I've never responded. What did he say? The usual. He's sorry. He's working with a therapist. He's in a program for gambling addiction. He wants to make amends. She pushes vegetables around her plate. He asked me to ask you if you'd be willing to visit him. What do you think I should do? She looks up at me, her eyes, Helen's eyes, thoughtful. I think you should do what feels right for you, not what you think you're supposed to do. You don't owe him anything, Grandpa. Do you visit him? She nods slowly. Once a month. I'm not ready to forgive him. I don't know if I'll ever be ready, but he's still my father, and I guess I need to understand why he did it, why he couldn't just ask for help. Have you gotten any answers? Some. The therapist there thinks he has something called antisocial personality disorder mixed with narcissistic traits. Basically, he has a hard time feeling empathy or thinking about consequences beyond his immediate wants. Combined with the gambling addiction, she shrugs. It's not an excuse, but maybe it's an explanation. We finish dinner, and Lily clears the plates. I stay outside, listening to the cicadas starting their evening song. My phone buzzes a text from Walter reminding me about our golf game tomorrow morning. Life goes on. That's what I've learned. No matter how badly you're hurt, no matter how much you think you can't survive something, life insists on continuing. Later that night, after Lily has gone to her room to study, I do something I've been avoiding. I open my desk drawer and pull out Jason's most recent letter. It arrived 3 days ago, and I've been carrying it around, feeling its weight, not quite ready to read it. I open it now. Dear Dad, I know you haven't written back to any of my letters, and I understand why. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve anything from you after what I did. But I need you to know that I think about it every day, about what I almost took from you, about what I did take, your trust, your peace of mind, your sense of safety in the world. The therapist here makes me write out all the ways I harmed you. It's part of the program. At first, I resisted because it hurt too much to really look at what I'd done. But now I see that was the point. I needed to hurt. I needed to feel even a fraction of what I put you through. I can't explain why I did it in a way that would make sense to you. The gambling started as a way to feel something, to feel excitement after Kristen left. Then it became a way to try to fix my money problems. Then it became an addiction I couldn't control. And when the debts got so big I couldn't see a way out, when the people I owed money to started threatening Lily, I panicked. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was desperate, but that's not an excuse. I had 18 months where I could have come to you, told you the truth, asked for help. You would have helped me. You always help me. Instead, I decided you were an obstacle. I decided your money was more important than your life, and I'm going to have to live with that decision for the rest of my life. I know I'm going to be in here for a long time. 20 years if I'm lucky, longer if I'm not. By the time I get out, you might not be alive anymore. And if that's the case, I'll never get to tell you in person how sorry I am. So I'm telling you now, in this letter you probably won't even read. I love you, Dad. I know I showed it in the worst possible way by trying to take everything from you, but I do love you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Jason, I fold the letter and put it back in the envelope. Do I believe him? I don't know. The therapist in me, the part doctor Okoye has been working to develop, says that Jason is probably experiencing genuine remorse now that he's facing consequences. But would he feel that remorse if he hadn't been caught? Would he be sorry if he'd succeeded? These are questions I'll never have answers to. The next morning, I meet Walter at the golf course. We play 9 holes, and he doesn't ask about Jason unless I bring it up first. That's the thing about real friends. They know when to push and when to give you space. Afterward, over coffee in the clubhouse, Walter finally says, "You seem better, Bob. Lighter somehow?" I am better. Some days more than others. But yeah, I'm getting there. You ever think about what you're going to do with all that time you've got now? You're 72, healthy, got your mind sharp as ever. That's a lot of life left to live. It's a question I've been asking myself. For so long, my identity was tied up in being Jason's father, in helping him, worrying about him, enabling him. Now that he's gone, who am I? Actually, I've been thinking about that. I pull out my phone and show him something I've been researching. There's this organization called AARP's Elder Abuse Prevention Program. They do workshops, education programs, helping seniors recognize warning signs. I've been talking to them about volunteering. Walter looks at the website, then at me. You want to talk about what happened to you? I don't know if I want to, but I think I need to. How many other people out there have adult children pressuring them, manipulating them, maybe even hurting them? How many of them make excuses like I did, ignore the warning signs like I did? If my story can help even one person recognize what's happening before it's too late, Helen would be proud of you, Walter says quietly. Using something this painful to help others. That takes courage. 2 weeks later, I give my first talk at a senior center in Tempe. There are about 30 people in the room, mostly in their 60s and 70s, and they listen with rapt attention as I tell my story. Not all of it. I keep it focused on the warning signs, the red flags I ignored, the ways Jason manipulated me. If your adult child is constantly asking for money, if they're pressuring you to change your will or give them power of attorney, if they're isolating you from friends or other family members, these are signs, I tell them. If you start having unexplained health problems when you're around them, if you feel afraid or uncomfortable, trust that feeling. Your instincts are there for a reason. During the Q&A, a woman in her late 60s raises her hand. How do you stop loving them? My daughter steals from me. I know she does, but she's my daughter. How do you just turn that off? You don't, I say honestly. I still love my son, even after everything. But love doesn't mean you have to let someone hurt you. Love doesn't mean you have to be a victim. You can love someone from a distance. You can love someone and still protect yourself. After the talk, several people come up to thank me. 3 of them share their own stories of adult children or relatives who financially exploited them. One man, maybe 80, has tears in his eyes when he tells me his grandson emptied his bank account and he was too ashamed to tell anyone until now. It's not your fault, I tell him. The shame belongs to the person who betrayed your trust, not to you for having trusted them. Driving home that day, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Purpose. Helen used to say that the worst things that happen to us can become our greatest teachers if we let them. I'm trying to let this teach me. I'm trying to find meaning in the wreckage. Lily is making dinner again when I get home. She's taken over most of the cooking. insisting it helps her distress from studying. Tonight it's pasta carbonara, and the house smells amazing. How'd it go? She asks. Good. Really good, actually. I think I might do it again. I'm glad, Grandpa. She hands me a glass of wine, something I can drink now without fear, though I'll admit I'm more careful than I used to be. I'm proud of you for not letting what happened make you bitter, for using it to help people. We eat dinner, and then Lily brings up something she's been thinking about. Grandpa, I've been wondering, would you want to write him back? Jason, I mean. You don't have to. I just think maybe it would give you closure, or at least let you say what you need to say to him. I consider this. What would I say to Jason if I had the chance? What do I need him to hear? That night, I sit down at my computer and write a letter, not to send, at least not yet, but to process my own thoughts, to figure out what, if anything, I want to say to my son. Jason, I've read all your letters. I haven't responded because I didn't know what to say. I'm still not sure I do, but I'm going to try. You asked for forgiveness. I can't give you that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What you did wasn't a mistake. It was a choice you made over and over for 18 months. You chose money over my life. You chose yourself over our family. And those choices have consequences that I'm still living with every day. But I want you to understand something. I don't hate you. I'm not sure what I feel. Honestly. Anger? Yes. Betrayal? Absolutely. Grief for the son I thought I had, who maybe never existed. But underneath all of that, there's still love. It's damaged, maybe broken, but it's there. I don't know what to do with it. You said you think about what you did every day. Good. You should. Not to torture yourself, but to truly understand the weight of it. You didn't just try to kill me. You tried to steal my remaining years. At 72, I don't know how many years I have left. Every one of them is precious. And you were willing to take them all for money. I hope prison helps you. I hope therapy helps you. I hope you become someone who would never do this to another person. But Jason, even if you change, even if you become the person you should have been all along, it doesn't undo what you did. It doesn't give me back the peace of mind you took from me. I don't know if I'll ever visit you. I don't know if I'll ever write to you again. But I needed to say this. You were my son, and part of you always will be. But the relationship we had is over. It died the day you put those pills in my juice. I'm building a new life now, one where I don't have to wonder if the people around me are trying to hurt me, and that life doesn't have room for you in it. I hope you find peace with what you've done. I'm working on finding peace with it too. Dad, I read the letter 3 times, then save it. Maybe I'll send it someday. Maybe I won't, but writing it helped me understand something important. I can love Jason and not let him back into my life. I can acknowledge his humanity while also protecting my own. It's been 8 months since Jason was sentenced. In that time, I've learned to live again. Not the same life I had before that life is gone, but a new life, one built on different foundations. I'm more careful now, more aware. I don't trust as easily, but I'm also more present, more grateful for what I have. I speak at senior centers once a month now. I've reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with. I'm teaching myself to paint something Helen always wanted me to try. Lily and I have dinner together most nights, and sometimes we talk about Jason, but more often we talk about her classes, her friends, her plans for after graduation. Life goes on. It doesn't always feel fair that it does, but it does. If there's anything I want people to take away from my story, it's this. If you're experiencing something similar, if you have a family member pressuring you, manipulating you, making you feel unsafe, please speak up. Tell someone. Go to the police. Contact Adult Protective Services. Don't wait until it's too late. I was lucky. A waiter happened to be watching at exactly the right moment, but so many others aren't that lucky. So many elderly people suffer in silence because they're ashamed, or they don't want to get their children in trouble, or they can't believe their own family would hurt them. Believe it, and protect yourself. Your life has value, no matter what anyone else says. I'm Robert Mitchell. I'm 73 years old. My son tried to murder me for my money, and I survived. Some days are harder than others. Some days I still feel that ache of betrayal so keenly it takes my breath away. But I'm still here, still fighting, still choosing to believe that there's more goodness in the world than cruelty. And you know what? Most days, I'm right about that. If you found this story helpful, if you've learned something from it, Please share it. Talk about elder abuse openly. Check on the elderly people in your life. Ask if they're okay. Really ask and listen to the answer. Because the more we talk about these issues, the harder it becomes for abusers to operate in the shadows. My son took a lot from me, but he didn't take everything. He didn't take my will to live, my capacity for joy, my belief in second chances, not for him, but for myself. Every day I wake up is a day he didn't win, and I plan to have a lot more of those days. The sun is setting again, and Lily is calling me in for dinner. Another meal, another evening, another chance to keep building this new life. I'm not the man I was before this happened. I'm someone different now, scarred, yes, but also stronger, more aware of what matters. And what matters is this: I'm still here, and that's enough. But I didn't feel safe. I felt like my entire life had been a lie, like everything I'd believed about my son had been carefully constructed fiction, and I didn't know how to live with that truth.